I don't believe that language influences cultures. I believe that language is one of the pillars of culture, and it just has so much more impact than just a mere influence. It's one of the key components to any cultural society because it's the form of communication that you have with other people who live around you, who have the same beliefs as you. Without language, you wouldn't be able to communicate with them or share your ideas and what you believe in with them. So, without language, we really wouldn't have a very strong culture. And I believe it has so much impact on the way we live our lives. The language that I really focused on was American English because obviously I grew up in the United States, but I find it so fascinating because at a federal level, we don't have an official language of the United States. And growing up with a lot of Spanish speakers in my family, I have been really influenced a lot living in the American Southwest, having a lot of Spanish in my life. And I just think it's amazing how culturally diverse even a small area can be. You look at places like San Francisco, which had large amounts of Asian American immigrants coming in over 100 years ago, and they still have great influence in the way they communicate with each other in those areas. And it really shows how powerful language can be to a culture. Three of the idioms that I chose. The first one I chose it was one of the topics that Yukaterina Vinogradova talked about in her book Metaphor as a Means of Representation of Modeling of Concept Failure, verbalized by English idioms, which was knock off your perch. And it really shows how, as an American society, we always strive to be successful. We don't want to just be average. It's something that the textbook talks about, another citation that I was going to use, how important it is for Americans to be individualistic and striving for success and becoming as great as we can. Another one that I also thought spoke about the American language a lot is cost an arm and a leg, because we value money as a society. And you can see that with debates over how much the federal and state governments can tax us, the rising economy, the fall of unemployment. You can see how important financial stability is to Americans. So whenever we say, "Oh yeah, this surgery is going to cost me an arm and a leg," or "this new car is going to cost me an arm and a leg," it really shows how much value we have in our finances and how much it's going to take. The last idiom that I wanted to use was "beat around the bush," and it's one that I know I personally use a lot because I'm someone who doesn't beat around the bush, and that's something else that the textbook says is Americans are a little bit more upfront and can be viewed as aggressive by other cultures or self-assured because they believe in themselves and they aren't afraid to speak their mind more than some other cultures will. I thought, whenever I was doing my research, I thought it was unique because I came across an article to save your skin when processing L2 idioms and eye movement analysis of transparency of cross-language similarity among bilinguals. And because I speak so much Spanish, this kind of stuck out to me because these idioms are something that I can relate to as an English and a Spanish speaker. And it talks about things like break the ice, which is an idiom, but it has the same sort of meaning for a bilingual person as it would for someone who just spoke English. So it's not really something that is just unique to the one set of culture. You can learn parts of other people's cultures if you're willing to take in the time, you're willing to put in the effort to really understand the way they communicate with each other and how they feel about certain things. And I believe that was all the things that I needed to cover. So I'll probably just cut this before 3 notes.